Norquist.
On the eve of the 20th anniversary, Diane Sawyer reunites with the children of 9/11.
I would just want one day. I think that's all I would ever want.
The mothers, the families.
She's the strongest person I've ever met.
Tonight on ABC.
A final thought before tonight's special. Our interviews with first responders, survivors, and families who lost loved ones. Their courage, their bravery, their resilience moved us all. But there was one question we also asked. What do you ask of your fellow Americans 20 years later? And their answers are profound and moving. We hope you'll honor them with us. We'll see you at 9 p.m. Eastern with Diane Sawyer. Until then, good night.
This is KITV4 Island News Weather.
We shouldn't be telling private business to become the authority, to be legal authoritarians implementing the policy of the governor and the mayor.
On KITV4 Island News at 6 tonight, calls for freedom of choice, why some business owners say they're planning on ignoring new mandates, even if that means getting shut down.
And as hospitals operate over capacity, one facility adds bed space outdoors. Plus this.
Hawaii should treat itself like it was a country, and all other countries that are islands test everybody on arrival.
We go more in depth with an infectious disease expert who helped eradicate a deadly global virus decades ago, what strategy he believes could be a game changer in Hawaii's fight against COVID-19.
Plus, a boater missing for over a week, now safe on land. We'll tell you who spotted him.
Now, from Honolulu, for all of Hawaii, this is KITV4 Island News.
Good evening, I'm Mika Miyashima.
And I'm Tom George. Rick Kwan has the night off. Well, new vaccine passport requirements aimed at curbing the spread of COVID-19 on Oahu are facing backlash from some business owners. Some members of the same groups that confronted Mayor Rick Blangiardi now say they won't follow the new rules at all. Just days before Oahu's new vaccine passport requirements take effect, opponents gathering outside Honolulu Hale to make it clear they won't be following them. Al Medeiros runs Hawaii Discount Nutrition and says come Monday, he's still planning to operate as normal.
That's where it comes down to, we're not going to be turning people away just because they don't have it, right? It's not right. That's what's the separation is the big thing right here.
Neither is Reno Remigio, who runs a gym, RFit Hawaii. He says businesses weren't given much guidance on how to check vaccination status, and he says he won't be checking at all, even if that means getting shut down.
All are welcome. We do recommend that everybody wipes things down. If you want to wear the mask, wear the mask. If you don't want to wear the mask, you don't want to, then don't. It's up to you.
Councilmember Heidi Tsuneyoshi, who opposed Mayor Blangiardi's order, now says she also opposes federal mandates.
When the President of the United States says this is a pandemic of the unvaccinated, then we know we have concerns in government and government overreach.
But when asked what she would do differently when it comes to getting the pandemic under control, she instead blamed hospital administrators for not having enough ICU beds to handle the recent hospitalizations.
We should be having areas within our community where people can go to get the care that they need and have options to get the care that they need, and not just operating the same way in our emergency rooms with the same number of ICU beds that we had at the start of the pandemic till now. In the meantime, come Monday, some wonder just how much the new rules will impact business.
I'm not sure how this is going to roll out. I'm not even sure if I can stay open for the next 2 months. I'm living off a little over $1,000 a month. And so I'm just trying to figure out how I'm going to navigate through all these uncharted waters. This is something new for everyone. And so for me...
Now, the Hawaii Restaurant Association, meanwhile, is supporting the mayor's order. They believe it'll help get the pandemic under control. And when it comes to the impact on business, they say there are still options for unvaccinated customers because you can still order takeout or be inside 15 minutes or less and still support those businesses. Meanwhile, in the big picture, the state today reported 747 new cases of COVID-19, 456 of those cases on Oahu, 140 on the Big Island, 100 on Maui, 43 on Kauai, 2 on Molokai, and 6 residents who were diagnosed while they were out of state. Now, there are more than 10,000 active cases in the islands right now, and the average 7-day test positivity rate is 7%. Over the past 2 weeks, the state reports the average number of daily new cases dropped by 21%.
And And the state also reported 8 more Hawaii residents diagnosed with the virus have died. That brings the statewide death toll to 641. The dead include a Maui woman in her 50s and 7 Oahu residents, a woman in her 30s, 5 men in their 50s to 70s, and a woman over 80 years old. All had underlying medical conditions and were hospitalized. Those conditions could include hypertension, diabetes, or emphysema, among other chronic conditions.
Well, the Queens West Oahu Hospital just got 6 more beds to care for COVID patients. The hospital beds are located inside this brown tent you see right there in the parking lot. Queens says it's fully stocked with everything needed to care for COVID patients who have to be transported to other facilities. The hospital says it's ready to take care of members of the community should that need arise. Today, there was just 1 COVID bed and 1 intensive care bed open at the main Queens West facility.
We did have somebody, a minor, who came through yesterday, who was unvaccinated, was diagnosed with COVID earlier in the week, but despite what her family could this patient's family could take care of them, she still progressed to the point where that patient needs oxygen, and so we were able to work with Kapiolani to secure a bed there for them to take care of that patient.
Now, doctors at Queens West say at least 70% of patients who came in with COVID-19 last night were unvaccinated. Well, meanwhile, a global infectious disease expert believes a strategy used to stop the world's deadliest virus in history can be used in Hawaii's battle against the coronavirus.
Yeah, Dr. Larry Brilliant was part of the World Health Organization's team that eradicated smallpox in 1980, a disease that killed 500 million people across the globe. KITV4's Annalisa Burgos caught up with Dr. Brilliant, who's been advising Hawaii County leaders on their COVID-19 response this year.
This virus is spinning off variants very quickly. The only way we can stop that process is vaccinating everybody all over the world. And we need to start by vaccinating in our own backyard.
To help wipe out smallpox, Dr. Brilliant and WHO surge vaccine teams went to the homes of positive cases and vaccinated the people around them. Dr. Brilliant believes this strategy, known as ring vaccination, can help lower infection rates.
You want to cut down chains of transmission. If we could kind of close our eyes and look at all these, chains of transmission, there's not one outbreak in Hawaii. There's millions of different outbreaks. They each have a first index case, then they have extra cases, and they go on like that. If we can snip the chains of transmission anywhere along, we reduce the overall burden. We keep more people out of the hospital, more people out of the ICU.
A Hawaii Department of Health spokesman says the state has held nearly 600 mobile vaccine events in July and August in areas with high case counts and positivity rates. About 200 events are planned for this month. The key, Dr. Brilliant adds, is to invest in disease detection, especially if travel remains open and variants continue to flood the state.
Is it too late to shut down at this point? Do you think that would help mitigate some of the damage that's been done?
I'm not really in favor of shutting down, like in that sense of what New Zealand did or Taiwan. But if you don't stop the virus from coming in, you'll have no choice. Then you'll be forced to shut down, and not at a time that you want.
The Department of Health says it has 387 contact tracers statewide and about 200 isolation and quarantine units on Oahu. There are 100 units on the Big Island and 15 each on Maui and Kauai. Despite the rise in positive cases, many units are vacant. Enforcing quarantine is a big challenge, which is why Dr. Brilliant believes everyone who enters Hawaii should test for COVID-19 before and after their flights, regardless of their vaccination status, and not be able to opt out.
You've got to stop the highway, the 6-lane highway of all the variants all over the world who are coming to Hawaii. You don't need to go very far to find out what the next variant is. It'll be in Honolulu tomorrow.
Annalisa Burgos, KITV4 Island News.
Now, as of today, 76% of the state's population eligible for the vaccine, which includes those 12 and older, is fully vaccinated. 64.9% of all Hawaii residents are now fully vaccinated. That's nearly 923,000 people. On Thursday, just over 3,200 shots went into arms, and the state health department estimates about 175,000 people eligible for the shot have not yet received it.
And Wet n Wild Hawaii and Kapolei will require guests at its retail, food, and beverage locations to be vaccinated against COVID-19 or test negative within 48 hours. It will not require full vaccination or testing to enter the park. The company will also require its employees to be fully or partially vaccinated by September 30th. Those who qualify for a medical or religious exemption will need to test weekly for the virus.
More than 19,000 people signed up for the state's Hawaii Smart Healthcare Card program, that is, which launched today. Now, the state says that's about a 75% success rate. The state says not everyone who tries will be able to create an account. That can be because the Hawaii agency they got vaccinated at does not submit information to the database, or there was an issue with the auto verification process. Those who are not able to create an account can still show their physical or digital copies of their cards at businesses.
Well, police on the Big Island need your help finding a man that they've deemed to be armed and dangerous. Take a look. This is 45-year-old Sean Lee Galigo. Police say he fired a gun during a fight with his neighbor on Thursday. Nobody was injured. It happened on Miley Way in Ainaloa. And police evacuated several residents on the street as they searched for Galigo. They say he left the area. Officers found a rifle and ammo inside his home. Anybody with any information on Galigo, take another good look right there. You're asked to call Big Island Police at 935-3311. Well, a boater missing for more than a week is safe on land and in stable condition tonight.
Yeah, the Coast Guard rescued 67-year-old Philip Grenz this morning after a Navy air crew spotted him and his vessel about 310 nautical miles southwest of Oahu on Thursday. Grenz left Nauwiliwili Harbor on Kauai last Thursday, but never made it to Haleiwa, Oahu, where he was headed. His disabled boat is still drifting in the water. The Coast Guard issued an alert to mariners.
Yeah, good thing they were paying attention there. And, you know, look at turning to weather now. Look at this beautiful sunset out there. Finally got the hang of it. Sunset. A live look outside, cloudy and at times wet for Aloha Friday.
That's right, it was. KITV4 Chief Meteorologist Pete Kajano with our first forecast tonight. And Pete, how's the rest of the night looking?
It's looking pretty good. We've actually dried out in most spots. You can see here across Oahu, not as much in the way of rainfall for those showers earlier, but we'll see more scattered showers developing as we head into tonight. So we'll see some passing rains for Windward and Mauka spots in some locations into central locations. Temperatures into the upper 70s coming up. We'll talk about how the weekend is shaping up. Mika, Tom.
All right, thank you, Pete. Well, on the eve of the 20th anniversary, we remember those who lost their lives on September 11th, 2001.
Coming up on KITV4 Island News at 6 tonight, we'll show you how the legacy of a local girl killed in the 9/11 attacks still lives on today.
This segment of KITV4 Island News is sponsored by Zippies.
Just because we're social distancing
doesn't mean we can't share aloha.
And our favorite Zippies comfort food.
Cool. Look what Daddy brought.
Chili.
It's Spamtember at Zippy's, a month to celebrate our local favorite, Spam. Try the new Spam Katsu Curry or grab a Spam omelet sandwich, as many to satisfy your appetite.
In Portugal, Nazaré, it's so quiet and all you hear is this giant wave. And it's like the monster at the other side of town. I think that question that pops into your head, what am I doing out here? This is really dangerous, and is it worth it? You're like, yeah, of course.
Get 70,000 bonus priority miles with the Priority Destinations World Elite MasterCard. First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
Thanks so much. Yeah, you're welcome.
Well, salt and vinegar wings. These are the best.
Are these sweet?
Here, try it. We missed you.
I missed this.
Shop smart and save at FedMart's Labor Day sale. We're the only place that can scientifically fit you to a mattress. And right now, save up to $700 on top brands like Tempur-Pedic and more. Plus, get 0% financing for up to 48 months. Beat FedSmart. Shop FedMart.
Hey, you guys stay hungry?
Yeah, I am.
I only had 2 beers. I can drive.
Okay, shoot. Pono, we go.
Roger.
All right.
Designate a sober driver, not the one who drank the least. drive sober or get pulled over.
Annalisa Burgos, GMH Weekends.
I don't think anybody played the position better than Cole Brennan.
I would argue with anybody, the greatest player in the history of this school.
He was obviously one of the greatest quarterbacks to ever play in collegiate football history.
KITV4 Island News closed captioning, sponsored by Aloha Termite and Pest Control. Superior service for you with Aloha.
You're watching KITV4 Island News.
Well, tonight we remember the thousands of people who died in the September 11th, 2001 terrorist attacks. Tomorrow, of course, marks the 20-year anniversary of that unforgettable series of events. You see right there, this is a live look outside at New York City, and on the right-hand side, back here at home, the flags flying at half-staff to honor the victims.
And President Joe Biden marks the anniversary as fresh concerns of terrorism stir after the U.S. exit from Afghanistan, the very country from which the attacks were launched.
The epicenter of the 9/11 tragedy in New York City, where 2 commercial airplanes were hijacked and deliberately crashed into the World Trade Center Twin Towers, both eventually collapsed. A third hijacked plane then crashed into the Pentagon in Virginia. Passengers on a 4th plane, Flight 93, fought back against the terrorists, and the plane ended up crashing into a field in Pennsylvania.
To me, that's the central lesson of September 11th. It's that at our most vulnerable, in the push and pull of all that makes us human, in the battle for the soul of America, unity is our greatest strength.
And tonight, One World Trade Center stands where those Twin Towers fell. It was built in remembrance of the victims and serves as a constant reminder of the lives that were lost and the hope for the future.
Now, among those victims, 9 people with ties to Hawaii, including Kalaheo High School graduate Christine Snyder. The 32-year-old native Hawaiian was among the 44 people who died when Flight 93 crashed. She was a wife and an avid arborist with Hawaii's oldest nonprofit environmental group, the Outdoor Circle. When a local bar known for its construction around a banyan tree decided to relocate, Snyder advocated for the preservation of that tree. While the original tree did not survive, seedlings were planted outside of the current Hula's Bar and Lay Stand in Waikiki, where the tree still stands and continues to grow in her memory.
She had such a long life ahead of her, but she was so dedicated in the love of a tree and so many trees. I'm just so grateful for her. Because of her, something still lives, right?
Absolutely.
Something still lives, and not only is it living, it's thriving. You know, and yes, I want everybody to remember that.
Her legacy living on there. Now, several other memorial sites throughout Oahu keep Christine's memory alive as well. And ABC News will honor those killed and the first responders who fought to save lives after the attack. Memorial ceremonies will be held in New York, Pennsylvania, Washington, D.C., and other cities across the nation. Live coverage kicks off at 2 o'clock tomorrow morning right here on KITV4.
Important to remember. And back here at home, a live look right now over Hilo Bay on the Big Island at this hour. Some cloudy skies and light winds, a little ominous skies out there. Pete, how's the weekend looking?
Looking to see a little bit more sunshine, especially for the second half of the weekend coming up. We'll track that forecast, all that coming up after the break.
Island Weather is sponsored by Central Pacific Bank.
That new app is wonderful. The new website is so user-friendly, and it's just convenient. You can do it from anywhere. He doesn't usually access it, but he'll just say, Laurie, can you transfer money from da-da-da-da-da-da? And I'll just do it because it's easy.
I'm just the husband.
Reach your financial goals with our new app, and reach an actual banker whenever you need one when you switch to CPB. Central Pacific Bank.
When you wake up in the morning, darling, I'll be back. Let's do this. I'll be there by your side. I'll be anything you want to.
Good morning, America.
sure to read your prescription labels and warnings.
For water-saving tips, visit boardofwatersupply.com.
Rick Kwan and Mika Miyashima have what you need to know. The latest updates, changes, and developments on COVID-19, plus news as it happens across the islands. Weeknights on KITV4 Island News, tonight at 10. What you need to know.
Hey, kiddo. This is Sketchy Kyle from across the street. How are you? And these other two were just sitting outside and they figured I'd let them in. Well, what is the code here, sir? Oh, you'll figure that one out.
Any wireless stuff upstairs, you know, like...
I mean, Wi-Fi everywhere.
What's the name of your first pet?
You got a really nice house.
At Spectrum, we think if they shouldn't be in your house, they shouldn't be on your Wi-Fi.
This is fun.
What?
So Spectrum Advanced in-home Wi-Fi lets you decide who connects and who doesn't, so your network's always secure.
This segment of KITV4 Island News is sponsored by Spectrum.
Welcome back. While we're watching our temperatures, you know what? Cooling down a little bit. We're in the upper 70s right now here across town, and we do have a sunset that's going to be quite nice in just a few minutes as that sun kind of dipping down below the skies. 80 degrees officially at the airport. Many spots, though, in the upper 70s already. North winds coming in at 5, and we are tracking just a few light showers after we saw some rain roll through earlier today, but those showers have cleared out, but more rain will likely develop off to our east, and that's going to push over Oahu. Saw some moderate rainfall through Poipu just a few minutes ago. That's exited offshore. Got a couple of light showers. Some heavier rain indicated by the red here off of Kauai, but that should miss you, so we'll keep an eye on that, but that should stay just offshore in Maui County and the Big Island. Not as much activity right now on the radar. Surfcast for the weekend, we're looking at 2 to 4 footers for the south and east shores. We do have a small but long period south swell developing. So that should keep surf around in the manageable 2 to 4 range through the weekend. We'll take you out into the Western Pacific, and this is the Philippines right here. This is Taiwan, and we have a big hurricane in between, and actually a typhoon this part of the world, they're called, and it's a super typhoon actually with winds of 165 miles per hour. So this system is going to make its way near Taiwan, possibly passing right over Taiwan. We're hoping that it takes it a little bit further off to the east. The strongest winds of these storms in the right front quadrant. We want to keep that right side as far offshore as we can, but looks like it's going to be a rough go Sunday there. We'll take a look at what we have closer to home. Temperatures down into the lower 70s. We'll see a passing trade shower late, and overall kind of what we've been seeing is what we'll see tonight and into tomorrow morning. Still looking at some passing trade showers, so still some wet weather at times. The best chance will be Windward and Mauka in the morning. Afternoon, we're going to have a mix of sun and clouds, highs in the upper 80s. Winds stay light, so Saturday starts a lot like our Friday. However, I think in the afternoon, we're going to see a little bit more sunshine than we saw today, so we'll see a mix of sun and clouds in the afternoon. Some passing trade showers focused Windward and Mauka, but at times a shower could make it into central and leeward locations. Sunday's a little bit drier, so Sunday is when we get the winds picking up. We get a little bit more sunshine. Sunday looking good. Saturday, I think in the morning, passing trade showers. Afternoon, we'll see a little bit more sunshine, and then rain chances go back up for Tuesday, Wednesday, into our Thursday. Tom and Mika.
All right, thank you, Pete. A local woman continues her mission to protect the community.
Coming up on KITV4 Island News at 6, how she's ensuring local families have easier access to personal protective equipment.
And to a programming note, the University of Hawaii football team honors the memory of Colt Brennan this season. Players wear number 15 on their helmets, the number worn by Brennan, the quarterback that put UH football on the national map.
And we'll be honoring his legacy, too. The last story, produced by our friend and the voice of UH football, Robert K. Kaula, highlights the program Colt Brennan, The Spiral Gone Too Soon. It's going to air Monday night at 7 right here on KITV4.
The guaranteed lifetime care was one of the most important factors for our decision in coming here. We like the idea of being in the same building together forever. Had we remained at home, we would not have been involved in as many activities.
Oh, I never was interested in taking photographs up until I joined the photography club.
There was just a special warmth and friendliness and welcoming energy that made us really feel like we were at home. It's wonderful.
For over 80 years, Pape has served the industries of the West with quality equipment, parts, and expert service. From John Deere agriculture and turf to construction and forestry, Pape is a fourth-generation, family-owned company that will maximize your uptime and serve Hawaii proudly. We're hiring experienced technicians across our locations in Hawaii, including Oahu, Kona, Hilo, Kauai, and Maui. Visit construction.papemachinery.com/careers to get started.
Shop smart and save at Bedmart's Labor Day sale. We're the only place that can scientifically fit you to a mattress. And right now, get twin mattresses starting at $178 and queen pillow tops from $498. Hurry in to save. Beat BedSmart. Shop Bedmart.
93.9 The Beat, home of the Sam and Ryan Show with Sam the Man, Hawaiian Ryan, and Becky Mitz.
And dirty little secret. I like to wax men. W-A-X.
Okay, because either way, I'm down. Get dirty on the 30s. Hawaii's #1 for hip-hop. 93.9 The Beat.
This is so crispy, juicy, and tender, you might even call it deluxe. Okay, now you can definitely call it deluxe. McDonald's Deluxe Crispy Chicken Sandwich. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
They give of themselves, ask for nothing in return, for the life of the land and the people they love. Namea Pono. Share your stories of Namea Pono at kitv.com/Namea. Sponsored by Levitt, Yamane, and Soldner.
Hawaii, we all need to come together to stop the spread of COVID-19. If you feel sick, stay at home. Do not go to work, school, or social events. No exceptions. One infected person can spread COVID-19 to many other people. Don't be that one. Stay home and rest when you're sick. Your friends, co-workers, and classmates will thank you. Do your part. Don't unknowingly spread COVID-19.
Welcome back. Shelley Wilson's experience running a large home health care company helped her succeed in securing medical-grade personal protective equipment for her staff when the pandemic began.
Yeah, KITV4's Maleka McDonald reports she turned that success into a community service when she launched a website offering N95 masks and more to local families moving forward.
When the CDC began recommending masks to protect against coronavirus in spring of 2020, the best masks, N95 respirators, were either hard to find or reserved for medical staff.
Before, I think, there's a lot of handmade or homemade masks that people were making, and it was kind of a grassroots effort. And now with this new Delta variant, it's even more important that people have the protection to keep them safe and healthy.
Shelley Wilson, the founder of Wilson Care Group, a large senior living and home health care company in Hawaii, was already sourcing medical supplies and PPE for her business when suddenly demand skyrocketed.
We were using a lot of supplies prior to the pandemic. So from gloves to chucks and all kinds of sanitizer, all of those products we were still using before. And being able to source those directly for our healthcare companies and also our patients and their families has been really very convenient and more cost effective.
Wilson founded AlohaMask.com and immediately began offering her surplus supplies to the public. Today, Wilson says demand is going back up as people trade in their homemade masks. And because COVID-19 recommendations change quickly, Wilson says Aloha Mask ships locally with FedEx for free. They even offer same-day pickup on Oahu.
It's a trust. We have legitimate products. We vet all of our suppliers. We are getting N95 masks directly from manufacturers. So individuals can have that assurance and confidence that they're getting real, legitimate masks that are going to protect them and their families.
Moving forward, Wilson says her focus will always be on health care, and that means offering PPE for everybody. Maleka McDonald, KITV4 Island News.
Well, from a surge in the Delta variant to a drop in tourism numbers, you have questions and they have the answers.
Coming up live on COVID-19 and the vaccine, what you need to know, Hawaii University of Hawaii economists joining us live to discuss the current state and the future of Hawaii's economy.
This segment of KITV4 Island News is sponsored by Spectrum.
This one device is going to change everything. Gaming, entertainment, streaming, health, business. It will literally change how you experience the world. Welcome to the future.
What? Without the right connection, you've got nothing.
And now give you the future. No, I don't. Maybe the future's over here. Here we go. Nope.
That's why Spectrum Mobile delivers the most reliable service and nationwide 5G, so you're covered.
Hey, Mom? Mom? What's up? Just refinancing our mortgage. On your phone? You are? Hey, I'm tech savvy. It's easy. And it's saving us like $700 a month. Go, Mom. Eric showed me how to do it. Who's Eric? Our banker. You have a banker? Who are you?
Talk to your ASB banker today about refinancing or getting a home equity line of credit.
Sir, have you been drinking tonight?
There's no way to hide it. If you ride drunk, you will get caught and you will get arrested.
There are those out there who dream of the perfect kitchen, the perfect flooring, the perfect living room. We want you to progress in life, to have a kitchen that inspires you, to walk on the floors that motivate you, to live in the home you worked really hard for. From design guidance, quality products, and professional installations, we help families fulfill their dreams.
American Carpet One
is now American Floor and Home.
The aggressively designed 2021 TLX has more power than the BMW 330i and Audi A4. Special lease and finance offers are going on now. See your Hawaii Acura dealer today.
On the eve of the 20th anniversary, Diane Sawyer reunites with the children of 9/11.
I would just want one day. I think that's all I would ever want.
The mothers, the families.
She's the strongest person I've ever met.
Tonight on ABC.
Welcome back. As cases of the Delta variant surge across the country and right here at home, people have heeded the governor's call to limit travel to and within the islands.
And joining us live now with the impacts to Hawaii's economy is Carl Bonham with the University of Hawaii Economic Research Organization, or UHERO. Thanks so much for being with us, Carl.
Thank you.
Yeah, so of course, you know, the virus is kind of tied to tourism and that impacts the economy. You know, heading into the fall, how are we handling things with this surge in Delta variant cases, and what do you think the impact will be on our economy?
Well, things are changing really rapidly. The UHERO Economic Pulse, the index that we put together to try and track current conditions, we release it every single week, and it really peaked back in July and started coming down. We've lost about 10 percentage points of economic activity. And of course, a lot of that is tied to reduced number of visitors, reduced visitor spending, reduced restaurant activity. And it was, really was happening very much by the end of July. We started seeing cancellations, and that's just accelerated. And the cancellations for September and October really look pretty bleak. They're not. It's not a good situation.
Decline, and before we were seeing those numbers actually surpassing pre-pandemic numbers with the number of travelers coming in. So you mentioned September and October. Can you predict anything a little further down the line in terms of our economic future?
Well, there's a huge amount of uncertainty here, right? So when we release a forecast, we release a baseline forecast and a optimistic or a high scenario and a low scenario. And coming through the summer, the tourism numbers were far surpassing our previous optimistic forecast. And now as we go into fall, they're going to fall short of our old pessimistic forecast. And what really matters is what happens with the variant, with the Delta variant and the surge in cases. And we've begun to see some more positive numbers for the state, with case counts coming down, with new hospitalizations coming down. And what we're assuming, it's not so much a forecast as an assumption, is that September and October are going to be lousy, and come around Thanksgiving, we'll probably see a bounce in travel, just like we did last year. And we're sort of cautiously optimistic about Christmas, about a strong December and January. And part of that is there'll be pent up demand coming from the cancellations in September and October. And part of it is relying on a reduction in case counts in Hawaii, an improvement in hospitalizations, and really announcements coming from Hawaii's leaders that it's okay to travel again.
Well, in terms of locals and jobs, what does all this mean? Because yes, just because more people are traveling again, some of the costs of flights are lower when you get here. There's limits on what you can do. But in terms of the big picture, in terms of jobs, when do you kind of foresee maybe a trickle down in terms of getting to a point where maybe more people will be employed in the tourism industry again?
Well, not in the next couple of months. So really, the economic pulse that I referred to has been a really good predictor of job counts. So we've got the economic pulse all the way through the beginning of September, and it's basically telling us probably no job growth when the August data comes out, and likely a decline in jobs when the September data is available. And really, we anticipate an increase in unemployed and unemployment going through the fall, and really not starting to improve until January, February, and then somewhat slowly. And it all depends on, first it depends on whether or not we get the Delta variant under control here and bring cases down, and then it depends on our getting vaccinated and having a high enough vaccination rate across the state. And for that vaccine to be effective against any new variants, right? So going forward, looking out into the summer of next year, the question will be: is there going to be another wave of a new variant, or will we, be at 85% vaccination rate or 90% vaccination rate in the state and have the all clear?
And I know it is constantly changing, like you mentioned, so it is hard to kind of look ahead. But when do you think that we'll see international travel return here, and how much is that going to play a factor with unemployment and just our economy in general?
Well, you're right. It's very important, not only from getting a more diverse tourism market, but also from spending. Bringing back Japanese visitors and Canadian visitors and others, particularly Japanese and other Asia, is important. Right now, the Japanese population is almost 50% vaccinated. They've caught up with the U.S. That's a really positive feature. It's a positive fact. The Canadian vaccination rate is up there in the 65% and maybe even higher than that range. So I think we're going to see Canadian visitors this winter. I have very little doubt that there'll be some increase in Canadian traffic, because there's a lot of pent up demand there. Other Asia, it's going to take a little while longer. I'll be surprised if we see much of an impact from that this calendar year.
And there's been so much conversation during this whole pandemic about Hawaii and our economy just being maybe too reliant on tourism, and then there's been talks about how do we diversify our economy. We're now over a year into this. Where do you see things moving in terms of that? Are we still kind of hitched to tourism, or are there other options for our state to kind of maybe diversify a little bit more?
Yeah, so the issue now is no different than it was 3 months ago or 6 months ago or a year ago, and that is that in the very short run, really we are hitched to tourism, right? So if we had not had this Delta variant and tourism had continued on the track that it had, it would have slowed down significantly in the fall anyway, and we weren't going to continue to see the kinds of numbers that we saw in June and July, but it would have put many more people back to work this fall. And, you know, there isn't something where we can flip a switch and introduce a new industry that replaces those jobs. It's something that's a long-term process. And, you know, the key is to do the work now because it really is a 5, 10, 15-year process. And, you know, we've been talking about diversifying away from tourism for as long as I've lived in Hawaii. And, you know, we will continue to be talking about that for the next 5 or 10 years. And so the key is just to sort of be the tortoise and win the race in the end, and not expect to be able to change something tomorrow.
All right. Well, thank you so much for your insight. We really appreciate you stopping by. Carl Bonham with the University of Hawaii Economic Research Organization. Again, mahalo for your time.
Mahalo.
Yeah, always good insights there. And meanwhile, President Joe Biden's new COVID vaccine mandates are impacting hundreds of Hawaii businesses.
Yeah, still ahead on COVID-19 and the vaccine, what you need to know. Hawaii, the head of the state's largest merchants association, joins us live to discuss the response from local retailers. We'll be right back.
First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
Connect your financial world with First Hawaiian Bank. It all starts with yes.
It's time for Straight Talk about speed. Speeding endangers your life and the lives of those around you. You know the chance of survival for someone hit by a vehicle decreases the faster you go. But did you know how much? At 20 miles per hour, 9 out of 10 pedestrians hit survive. At 30 miles per hour, that decreases to 5 out of 10. And at 40 miles per hour, only 1 out of 10 pedestrians would live to return home to their loved ones. Don't place yourself and our friends and family in harm's way. Slow down and arrive alive.
Shop smart and save at FedMart's Labor Day sale. We're the only place that can scientifically fit you to a mattress. And right now, save up to $700 on top brands like Tempur-Pedic and more. Plus, get 0% financing for up to 48 months. Beat FedSmart. Shop FedMart.
When you feel like Vegas, there's just one place to stay. Grab a drink at the Holo Holo Bar. There's just one place to play. We got a fresh, hot look, a new sports book. We got those local meals, just like Auntie cooks. Aloha spoken here. Bet you find it at the Cow.
Look now at thecow.com.
Go where the contractors go.
I've been doing business with them for 40 years. Hardware Hawaii never makes me feel disposable.
Everybody says hello when you walk in, and I love this place.
I think it's important for me to support you guys because you guys supported me. And that's hard to find nowadays.
Hardware Hawaii in Koloa, Kailua, Kapolei, Mapunapuna. Contractor's choice.
Being prepared for the unexpected is the best way to keep your family safe this hurricane season. Keep your hurricane kits ready and stay with KITV4 for the most accurate and up-to-date weather information you need to know.
Watch Chief Meteorologist Pete Cajano on KITV4 Island News.
Welcome back. President Joe Biden just announced sweeping new mandates requiring all businesses with more than 100 employees to mandate vaccines or face thousands of dollars in fines per employee.
Now joining us live is Tina Yamaki, the head of the Retail Merchants of Hawaii. Thanks so much for being here, Tina.
Mahalo for having me.
Yeah, we appreciate your time. So in light of the president's new mandates, we just want to know how are retailers, what's the response among Hawaii's retailers to this?
You know, I think there's a lot of questions that are unanswered right now. That's going through a lot of the retailers and a lot of businesses as well. They're also concerned that they may lose some employees because of this. And, you know, we're already short-staffed and understaffed in a lot of areas. So that is a grave concern. The other concerns has to do with all the administrative issues that have popped up. It said you can do testing, but who pays for the testing, you know, and there's just a lot of questions that need to be answered that the retailers and a lot of businesses have.
And what are some of those common questions that you hear? I know they did make that app where you can upload your results, and that's one way to check it. But in terms of just what are you hearing from businesses that are trying to implement this and not be in violation, but maybe don't know what to do?
Well, for some of them, it's just how do you implement it with your current, I guess, system, and how do you check everybody? And like you said, yeah, there is that app that you can load on, but also too, a lot of people have it on their personal phones. So, sometimes they don't want to do it, mix business with personal things. It's just a lot of questions, like I said before, it's who's going to pay for the testing, because that can get expensive. Do we have to give them time off? Is it paid time off, or is it just a regular time, hours off? How do you track it? There's just a bunch of questions that are just, and when does it start? How soon does it begin? The one comment that we did get is it is statewide things, so that kind of helps when you have businesses on different islands.
And in terms of the economic future of Hawaii's large businesses, what kind of an impact is that going to have?
If it does have a fiscal impact, it's going to be hard on them. So we got to realize that a lot of these businesses are 6 months to a year behind on their commercial lease rent. They haven't paid their utilities. They're barely being able to pay their employees and keep the lights on. A lot of them are only making between 20 to 40% of what they made back in 2019. So they're still struggling.
And kind of when you look at the big picture, I mean, obviously, you do have some people that are vaccinated that have maybe been afraid to go out and shop, or and maybe now with these new regulations might feel more comfortable. But then on the flip side, you have people that people are worried that you might lose business. How do you kind of balance those two? And overall, what are you hoping for in the big picture when it comes to businesses bouncing back?
There's a lot of questions about that, and for any retailer, you got to understand that when you come into any retail store, you have to wear a mask the whole time you're in there. You can't take it off. It's not a place where you're sweating, like working out or anything like that. The most contact that you have with people are probably the cashier, and it's less than 15 minutes because a lot of people are just in and out of the stores, and there is that plastic shield between you and the cashier. We're constantly wiping down. So it's going to retail. It has been very safe. And it's not only for the customers.
Go ahead.
But also the employees. I'm sorry. No, I said it's safe not only for the customers, but for our employees too. We're very cautious of that.
Right. I want to turn it now to the federal unemployment benefits that expired over the weekend. Has this impacted retailers in Hawaii at all? Have you seen more people trying to apply for a job, or what have the impacts been?
I think when they don't get that check next week or whenever that is, reality is going to hit them. We have seen a small uptick in people applying for jobs now because they're no longer getting that extra $300 in unemployment. And then also too, businesses are also trying to get people to come out and apply by offering discounts, or they're offering bonuses. You sign up, you get a gift card, or you get X amount of dollars. So they're trying to just attract a lot of new employees.
Well, Tina Yamaki, we appreciate it, and all your insights. It's definitely going to be interesting starting on Monday with all these new restrictions in place as well.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it.
Mahalo.
All right, well, new CDC data released on unvaccinated deaths across the country and a new variant detected here in the islands.
Yeah, still ahead after the break. Dr. Scott Miskovich will join us live to answer your questions on COVID-19 and the vaccines. We'll be right back.
This segment of KITV4 Island News is sponsored by Slumber World.
Get the sleep you deserve during Slumber World's Labor Day sale. We have the best prices on top-rated mattress brands here in Hawaii. Save up to $1,000 and get 12 months financing on select qualifying purchases. Plus, get $50 off any mattress in a box, 10% off headboards, and a free platform upgrade with qualifying purchase. Get your mattress fast with Slumber World's free local delivery, and rest assured with their 120-night sleep trial. Discover better sleep at Slumber World, a Kama'aina family company, providing Hawaii the best value in sleep.
Here's today's hot and perfect tip.
Don't follow extreme routines. Do your own thing at Planet Fitness for just $1 down and get a real workout with tons of equipment and free fitness training. Join today for $1 down, $10 a month. Cancel anytime. Hurry, deal ends September 16th.
Every drop of water is part of a journey. It begins as water vapor that falls to earth as rain. For the next 25 years, it's filtered through volcanic rock. At last, it arrives at its final destination. Really? Can somebody come fix this?
When it comes to water, don't waste a drop.
That new app is so user-friendly and you can do it from anywhere. He doesn't usually access it, but...
I'm just the husband.
Join the wave of people switching to CPB. Central Pacific Bank.
Millions of people in this country suffer from something we call venous insufficiency. There are many symptoms, but the most serious are darkened skin in the lower leg and skin breakdown, something called venous ulceration. Ulcers do not stay healed with wound care alone. Evaluation and treatment of the venous circulation is imperative. Here at Vein Clinics of Hawaii, we offer safe and effective vein treatments to correct circulation problems and get you back on your feet again. Call today or visit us at veinclinicsofhawaii.com.
The cast for the new season of Dancing will blow you away. Dancing, it's written in the stars. Dancing with the Stars premieres September 20th on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Celebrity Wheel is back in prime time, and one star will spin it to win it all.
The big winner, $1 million.
Celebrity Wheel of Fortune, Sunday, September 26th on ABC and stream on Hulu.
Welcome back. Time now 6:48. According to a new CDC study, unvaccinated individuals are 11 times more likely to die after contracting the coronavirus than people who are fully vaccinated.
Yeah, we will get to that in just a moment. Now, joining us live to talk more about what that data tells us and other questions that you might have, Dr. Scott Miskovich, Premier Medical Group Hawaii. Dr. Miskovich, thank you so much for your time. And tonight, you're actually joining us from an Oahu nursing home. What are you doing there?
Yeah, this is something that will likely, be very broadly talked about in the news. I can't say exactly where I am yet, but I'm at a nursing home that has a large number of patients that are very ill patients, and we are up to 38 positives, both in the staff and residents, mostly residents. And so this is really serious. And, what we think is, as we're seeing, we're starting to see some decline in the immunity in some of the residents, and the higher risk people with low immunity might be some of those, as well as people who are a little older. And I will also say this is not the first nursing home our team has been to where there are positives, and we're now administering the magic medicine, Regeneron. And that's why I'm here tonight. After I hang up here, I'm going to be out there with a team of 8 others administering this throughout the nursing home and to some of the staff that are at risk.
And can you kind of talk about that, Dr. Miskovich? Because a lot of us have heard about Regeneron and kind of that early intervention, but maybe aren't familiar with it. So kind of explain kind of what that does and how it's used to treat these COVID patients.
Regeneron is what's called a monoclonal antibody. Regeneron has 2 different monoclonal antibodies that are combined in it. It has an FDA EUA approval. And so what happens is it is to be given to people at high risk: hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, congenital disease, HIV, sickle cell anemia, anybody with immunosuppression. And it will reduce your risk of hospitalization 70 to 80%. And so advanced stage, anybody over 65. And so when you give it, I guess the best way I like to describe it, it's not a replacement for being vaccinated. It can be given to vaccinated or unvaccinated. And I describe it to my patients, it's like if you had a pneumonia, your doctor or emergency room would give you a shot, and that shot would be an antibiotic, and that would circulate through your bloodstream, and it would be in there for a period of time to kind of gobble up and fight the infection. That's what monoclonal antibody does. It goes in there, it's in there for a period of time. It specifically attacks the COVID virus that's in your system, and then it's out of your system. So it doesn't replace anything, but it can stop the disease from rapidly replicating and serious hospitalization or death.
And going back to the 38 cases that you mentioned at the nursing home, what can you tell us? Were people vaccinated, unvaccinated, and what's the severity of these cases that you're seeing?
Mostly vaccinated, and most of this is breakthrough. That's basically what I can say. And high risk population. And again, I want to come right out and say, please, people of Hawaii, go get vaccinated, because even with this type of outbreak, when we combine the vaccinations with the Regeneron, the risk of hospitalization and the risk of death is so significantly reduced versus before, pre-vaccination, pre-Regeneron. This type of facility could have had just devastating outcomes. So this is one of these game changers that we're now going to be using across the state.
And kind of what do you make of, we just heard from President Biden yesterday with new federal mandates, here on Oahu where you are right now. Of course, on Monday, they're going to be launching that vaccine passport. But, for people that still have not gotten vaccinated, then they hear stories like the one you're just talking about right now, like, 38 mostly breakthrough cases. Does that kind of make people lose faith in the vaccine? And if so, what do you tell them?
You guys, we've all become close. I've been on with you for a long time. And if you really talk to the people who have been dedicating their lives to this, interesting right now, we're getting a lot of individuals coming in for a flu shot. Think about the flu. You get a flu shot every year, right? Well, right now, Pfizer and Moderna are developing a flu and COVID vaccine combined, because I've said this, and most of us believe it. You're going to get your COVID and your flu shot probably annually. I would not question that after this, you may start getting your flu and COVID next September, a year from now, and probably the year after that, and the year after that. Some infections require you to get a second shot or an ongoing shot. This isn't anything different in medicine that we've ever dealt with. So that's what I would say. But what's clear is you don't die, and your chances of being hospitalized are just so minuscule that please get it.
And sticking on that note, there's been talks about when booster shots should be rolling out. I know that September 20th date was pushed back, but in your opinion, when are booster shots, when should we be getting them? Is the time now?
Oh, yeah. I wish we would have advanced the booster shots to this exact population I'm here dealing with. I think we should be giving these to our nursing home and anybody over the age of 75. The healthcare workers should be getting them right away. We should have started that right away, because we clearly see that the vaccine effectiveness is waning between the study out of the California health systems and some other areas. It's going down to 65 or 70% from the initial doses, and you do need to get another booster. So we need it. We need to start it now, and the whole population should be going through and getting a booster. And again, everybody's wondering, it's exactly the same shot you had before. No different doses, nothing else. The other question I'm getting asked is, if I've got Moderna, can I get Pfizer? Not yet. You're going to wait, because Moderna will come out. You're supposed to get the same vaccine that you had. There are good studies that show if you get one and you had the other, it's not a big deal, but right now it's not indicated. But you should wait and get your booster. And J&J will come out with a booster soon also.
And turning from elderly to younger, as you know, there's been a lot of cases recently in DOE. I know LA has started mandating vaccines for students. We're still waiting on 12 and younger. Where does that stand right now? And do you think those mandates maybe need to be extended to our under 18 population?
Right now, the FDA is crashing as much as they can to get the appropriate data and the appropriate studies for the 5 to 12s. And we're really anticipating November, it's going to be becoming available. And I really feel by the end of the year, we'll hopefully have broadly begun to administer these to this age group. So I'm hoping that that's going to happen very soon. And I really hope our state will start working with our pediatricians to start having those vaccines available in the pediatrician's office, because I'm sorry, the pediatricians or the kids don't belong going to the pharmacies to get their vaccines. They should be in the comfort of a place that's familiar. So.
Yeah. Thank you so much, as always, Dr. Scott Miskovich. There's so much more we could talk about, but we actually have run out of time. So we appreciate, as always, you coming on and giving us the latest update with COVID-19 and vaccines.
Thank you. Stay safe, and please, everybody, get your original vaccine and get your booster. Go out and get them now.
All right. Dr. Scott Miskovich breaking it all down for us. Stay safe out there. All right. Well, that'll do it for our COVID special here on KITV4 Island News.
We'll be right back here at 10 o'clock tonight. Hope to see you then. Have a great weekend. Aloha.
KITV4 Island News midday with Lei Uika Holokula and Davey D.
Oh, my new bigger, crispier cluck sandwich.
Just tell me you're not going to go overboard with the marketing.
No.
You're fully clucked out, aren't you?
Try my cluck sandwich combo. Download the Jack app today.
Shop smart and save at FedMart's Labor Day sale. We're the only place that can scientifically fit you to a mattress. And right now, get twin mattresses starting at $178 and queen pillow tops from $498. Hurry in to save. Beat FedSmart. Shop FedMart.
Mililani Shopping Center. Let's get up and go. Let's eat. Let's shop. Let's relax and have some fun today.
Shop at over 47 stores for beauty and health, specialty stores, gifts and clothing, financial and professional services, with restaurants and a supermarket. Join us for Farm Fresh Fridays for your favorite pop-up vendors.
Mililani Shopping Center. Come to relax, bake, shop, dine, and have some fun today.
Going out tonight? Maybe we can help. We can slap some bling on you. Set you up with a sweet ride. We'll get you a room. And if you're lucky, you may even have a companion for the night. Drive sober or get pulled over.
September is the month to give aloha, a time when we come together to help Hawaii's nonprofits. And because Foodland matches every gift, your donation grows. Let's give aloha to build a better Hawaii. Foodland. Food, family, friends, and aloha.
My new Better Than Ever Cluck sandwich with a bigger, crispier, juicier filet, bigger pickles, more mystery sauce, and an extremely serious crunch. I'm kind of a big fan. Try my bigger, crispier new Cluck sandwich combo. Download the Jack app today.